All right. Hi, Elise. How are you?
Hi. Doing good
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know, like you've had some observations in the past couple of weeks, and I know I just kind of want to get your thoughts on how they've gone. I know the one I observed was amazing, but I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on kind of where you're at with those observations that you had.
Yeah. After the one you did, I realized just how much the script helped me,
Yeah.
especially with how you said, like, if I get off task, it's way easier if I have a script to come back and be like, oh, I didn't say this, or I did say this. This is where I'm at. And that's helping me make sure that I'm not missing, especially with the two different groups, that I'm not telling one group something and then skipping it with the second group on accident. So I used that for the next two observations that I had. The one that I had from my PEBC coach, she just really focused on student relationships and said that it was really like amazing to see how strong they are at this point in the year. And I was like, oh, thanks, because it's something I don't think about a lot. But then when I do sit down and think about it, or when I have an assignment about it, I get kind of annoyed because it's like, here's why you need to build these. And I'm like, I'm fine. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But having it like called out just made me feel good that it's to a point where other people can see kind of the culture that I've set up. And it's all those like behind the scenes things where, I mean, like we do get evaluated on it, but it's not something that's like in the forefront of my brain when I'm planning. And so to have that called out by her was kind of nice.
How did that feel to have like those successes? Like, how did that feel for you?
It felt good. I felt seen because I know that there's some pretty amazing things that happen in here sometimes. So to have some of those things and like those interactions with students happen in front of someone else was like, yeah, see, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes like the good moments in the classroom feels like if a tree falls in a forest doesn't make a sound type of thing. No one's around to see it, but I'm like, no, it's really good in here. Please come. So yeah, having that feedback that someone saw it made me feel really good.
I was really super proud of you. Like the one I saw, like you're just doing such great things. So I think like my thing is or my question for you is like I think I want you really to find like those successes. So like how would you define like success for yourself for like the rest of the year? Like what are some goals that you have for yourself for the end of the year? Because I know like it's really easy in education to be like, you know, you have all these rubrics, have all these people, but then I also think it's important for you to like have those goals. And then also I want to be able to support you with those goals too. So like what are some goals that you have for yourself for the rest of the school year?
Well, for an academic one is just being more meaningful with my independent work and exit ticket time.
Yeah.
We talked about it a lot in PLCs, how kind of the way that fourth grade's been planning is like they'll do their independent work and like that is their exit ticket, but that means that I'm like showing them examples and I'm not really sure what they did independently. So what I'm working on is splitting it out and having like partner work, or you can work with the person next to you, or you can work independently, and then a separate little sheet with a problem like similar, and that's the independent. Like we're not talking, I'm not helping, I just need to see, because I'm having a hard time collecting my data when I don't know for sure if they got it or if they copied someone or if they copied me from a different problem. So so just being more meaningful with that.
And I know we've talked about like systems in place for like collecting data. Have you implemented anything yet that you found like successful for yourself, or
not necessarily successful yet because I'm having a hard time like making sure I'm doing it, but I did print out my spreadsheets, how you have the from IC where you can track the data as you're going. I started it yesterday and I did a couple groups and then I don't know why I didn't get the rest. So just trying to make sure like it's really not that complicated to just look over, see what they've done on their own already. So I started it, but just being more intentional with it.
Well, what do you, I guess my question is like, what, just like knowing, because you're in the class every day and I'm not there every day, like, what do you think one barrier is in like collecting the data?
It's mostly my morning group because my morning group is just a behavior nightmare sometimes. So I think I'm spending so much time redirecting other students that when I go to a group and I'm trying to just collect a little bit of the data, another group will just start like acting like animals. And so it distracts me. And then I walk away from that group and then I don't mark it down. And then I'm at the other group and by the time class ends, like I never got back to the first group to check it.
Is what is like, do you think there's a way that like you could collect and like capture that data, like not necessarily like student by student, but just like general like noticing, like are you able to like notice some like trends just like from your teaching whole group that you could capture?
Definitely, it's definitely easy to capture it for the students who are proficient, who are meeting it, because they're the ones who are raising their hands and answering the questions. And if it's correct, then obviously I can mark that like they know it. Yeah, and for the kids who are quiet or not really willing to share out in class, I mean, I can cold call and see if they've got it that way. And I do sometimes, and sometimes they really just stare at me. And
well, I think like going back to like what you said, like I think like creating that exit ticket that like they can maybe like independently do and turn in. Do you think that would be helpful for like capturing like everybody's learning? Do you think that would be helpful? Like creating something like that? Do you think they would be successful in class doing something like that?
I think for math, yes, just because it doesn't have to be story problems or reading. And so like for my MLLs and stuff, if I just give them a number problem, there's not that barrier for them. So I'd be able to get a good picture of what's going on. I struggle more with social studies and science when it's like written, because then it's like, do you not know the answer, or is this a reading and writing issue instead of a comprehension issue, which most of the time it feels like it is, because I've pulled a few aside that like turned in blank slips or something, and I just ask them and then they can tell me it verbally. So I think I need a better system for those classes, but I also know that the math data is kind of like my big focus, so that's a good place to start with those exit tickets.
Do you guys talk at all in like PLCs about like how to collect like those exit tickets, or do you guys talk about like the overall like exit tickets, what those look like in your PLCs? Or
but we hadn't until this week, and then on Tuesday when we met, that was kind of our focus. Because they noticed like on our plans that we haven't been doing a separate so Hadley was like, I love that you guys are doing the independent work, but it'll be easier for your data if you have a concrete related to the standard little independent slip.
Perfect. So it sounds like, I mean, you've identified like one goal, which is like, you know, finding some sort of system or holding yourself accountable for collecting that data, which is a perfect goal. That's awesome. Are there any other goals that maybe you have like for yourself for the end of the year? I know data is a big one. Is there any other goals that maybe that you would hope for yourself to have by the end of the year?
Well, there's always the goal of getting that morning group's behavior under control. And I think I struggle so much because everything I've been doing worked with the afternoon group. They used to be just as talkative, just as rowdy. And now the afternoon group, like that's the group that you saw, and they're not. They listen, they know their routines. I can say go and they'll go do what they're supposed to. So I'm just like, okay, well, I know I didn't do anything different. It's the same expectations, the same routines that the other class has, but why is the morning so bad?
Well, and I think like it's interesting, like having like a departmentalized group, because like that's very much how teaching goes. Like you'll have one year where like they just all get in line, and then the next year you're like, I'm doing all the same things. It's not working. And then you just quickly have to adjust, you know? Do you think like there's like anything that like would motivate them to like become, like, I know we've talked about like whole class incentives, like are there any motivations that you know that they work really well for in that morning group? Or
it's so hard. I know they don't really care about their stars that are earning them a party. They're so far behind the other class, and I've been trying to like make it more even so they feel motivated to like catch up instead of just, oh, they beat us, we're not even going to try. So it's not the most motivating. Prairie dog tickets are really just working for the kids who already are doing what they're supposed to. Because they, like my group with like Dylan and Axel and Noel, they love that they get their prairie dog tickets for being the first group ready every time. and it's great for them, but everyone else is just kind of like, oh, Dylan's group's going to get it, so why try?
Yeah.
It's not the point.
I wonder why, and I wonder why, like, they kind of, like, I wonder why they kind of tune out, like, if it's, like, it is interesting that you noticed that, like, trend, like, I wonder why the other kids tune out so much, like, I'm wondering, like, what you could add in so, like, they're a little bit more, like, have more buy-in, you know what I mean, like, I'm wondering if, like, maybe you could, like, just ask them, like, "Hey, like, I'm noticing that the parade tickets aren't motivating for you. Like, is it food? Is it, one-on-one time?" Or well, not that you necessarily have time for that, like
I think it's food because
Yeah.
there are, I gave them an attendance incentive for
Mhm.
like October or something. And I was like, okay, what would we like to earn if we keep our attendance up? Because we've had a problem with it. And they wanted to earn Takis. And so they did. We met it and they earned Takis and they were so happy. I just
Oh my
got
God, I hate those
Sam's
things so
Club
much.
mini pouches.
I think they're so gross. I don't get it.
I don't like them either. I'm like, I like Flamin' Hot Cheetos for that. I don't like the Takis.
Yeah, totally. Well, and, like, I'm wondering, like, one thing I think, like, when I'm like, one trend I'm seeing when you're talking is that, like, the whole class, like, long-term goal isn't, like, working. So I'm wondering if, like, there's a way that, like, you could, like, incorporate food, which is a lot of money, so I worry about that too.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, because what I'm noticing is, like, the long term for the morning isn't really working. So, like, what are some more, like, short-term goals we could, like, create for them? Like, we know they like food. Is it, like,
Yes.
they get, like I don't know, because it's so much money for you, so I'm trying to think of, like, something, like, short term
Well,
like
Amy's class does Fun Friday every Friday, and so my
Mhm.
kids are always complaining that we don't do Fun Friday, and I'm
Okay.
like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe that is something that we could earn because since she doesn't do social studies or science, whatever we have during that block on Fridays, I only plan Monday through Thursday, and then my kids do second step
Mhm.
while hers do Fun Friday. Because I was like, well, they don't deserve to have fun, but they do deserve to talk about respect and
Yeah.
balancing the brain.
But I mean, that's a good point. I wonder if, like, they have the chance to earn it,
Yeah.
if maybe that would be, like if they're interested in it, I wonder if that's a good, like, motivating, like, idea for, like, them, but I think even for your afternoon group too, like,
Yeah.
I know we talked about doing different, but I almost wonder if maybe you try that with both groups and see are you able to do that? I know you do second step. Do you have to do the second step, or is that just something that you
It's just something I use to fill that time since I'm not planning social studies for that day.
Okay.
But also because I feel like with all the behaviors we have that it was beneficial. But at the same time, I like Taylor comes in and talks to us every other week. We go
Mhm.
over the same stuff in the Monday meeting. We go over the same stuff in second step, and like the behaviors haven't changed at all.
Mhm.
So I wonder like how meaningful it actually is to be doing those things.
Mhm. Well, have you talked to Amy about, like, how they earn the Fun Friday? Like, what are, like,
Oh,
some
yeah.
things
Well,
that, like,
she has
ultimately
a completely different system. She doesn't use Prairie Dog tickets at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she does something called star cards, and then how many star cards they have, like, determines if they get Fun Friday or not and, like, what activities they get to do. And I'm just like, I don't want to create an entirely new PBIS
No.
system. And then the thing that's hard too is that her kids in other classes, like in my ELD class, aren't motivated by Prairie Dog tickets because they don't mean anything in there. Like they don't even do prize card.
Yeah.
So I really don't want that for my kids, especially sharing with Desiree. We would both have to get on the same one. And yeah, I just think it's going to be too complicated.
Well, I'm wondering if, like, maybe you could tie the Prairie Dog tickets to, like, Fun Friday somehow. Like, maybe if they have, like, a certain amount of Prairie Dog tickets, then they can go to Fun Friday or, so, like, yeah, I agree, like, I don't think you wanna create, like, a different system, but maybe there's a way that you could, like, tie the systems that you already have in place, like, if you feel like it's gonna be motivating for them to, like, have them earn Fun Friday, if that's something you're interested in. I
It
don't know.
is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because we do our warning trackers, where we have like their names and then we just tally up how many warnings we have, and then we switch our clipboards when we switch classes because that
Mhm.
was our way to hold them accountable. Like you can't be terrible in here and then go be terrible in there and then still
Yeah.
not get a call home because you only
Yeah,
did
yeah.
2 things in here and 2 things in there. Like that's still 4 things in a day. You should still
Mhm.
get a call home. Um,
Yeah.
so we did that to be consistent, but I keep all of them and because we're just keeping them for record. And I was thinking maybe if you have like under a certain amount, like maybe under 5, because that's one a day. I don't know if that's
Mhm.
too harsh or I don't
I
know.
I mean, I think that's attainable. I think the biggest thing that you'd have to ask yourself is, can you pass out one ticket to every student every day? Like, I know for myself, like, I'm not necessarily the best at passing it out, but if it was something like that, I probably would be. I think.
But I'm thinking like the warnings though. So like don't go over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, I think that's totally attainable. I mean, I think if it's something that, I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, it something that you can manage? Like, if it's adding more work for you, it's not going to like help you in the long run if you're adding more work for yourself. So
I think it is, because every Friday anyways, I go through it, because if you have 0 for the week, you earn treasure box. Because that was my way of apologizing to kids like Curtis who have to sit there while the rest of the class gets in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you really like got no warnings throughout the whole week, I think you do deserve something special. So since I'm already going through it, I can just mark how, instead of like if they have 0 or not, I could just mark how many they have.
Yeah.
And it's the same paperwork. I'm counting the same thing. So it really wouldn't take too long. And then just determine on Friday morning, like, okay, if you have less than or 5 or less by the end of class today. Because I also worry that if they're going to earn it at the beginning of Friday when I count it, then they'll be terrible on Friday. And I'm like, you definitely don't earn it if you're bad the day of.
Yeah. Well,
so
right. But
I think time on Friday, if you have less than 5, you get Fun Friday.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy, like, especially as a teacher, to be like we're always like in a game, right? Like we're always like playing the game, and we're trying to like figure out like what game we're going to play next.
Yes.
And I think kids, like, they're very like short term, but then they're also like very like black and white. So like I think if you create a system that's very black and white, I think you'd have a lot of success.
Okay.
I also think too, like, or one thing I'm wondering too is like, oh my gosh, I forgot my I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm wondering too, like, yeah, I mean, I think like sometimes too in teaching, like when sometimes I feel like it's really hard to be like, you've changed up so many things and now you have to change up the game again. And so I just want you to feel successful in whatever you implement, you know. And it can be really exhausting to be like, I'm doing this one day and then I'm changing it up. But, you know, just don't be afraid to change it up if you need to, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I'm wondering, like, should I wait until like Thanksgiving break and then come back and start that? Or because I mean, isn't that, we still have 1 week, so maybe do I have to wait for a transition, or do you think it'd be okay to just implement it starting next week? Is what I'm really asking.
I think that if you have thought through everything and you are on the same page with your teammate, if you're going to do it, because you want to have Desiree, right?
Yeah.
Buy-in. I think that if you feel like you guys have talked it through and you feel like you're ready, like don't like let like the timing like hold you up. You know, if that's something that you feel like it's going to be successful for you, then I would say like, yeah, you can always start it and then, you know, keep going. And, you know, if it's great, awesome. And then if you change it up, then you just change it up faster. So yeah, I wouldn't like let breaks like hold you up at all for that. I mean, if you feel like it's something that you need to do, then obviously like feel free, you can do it, you know. So
yeah, I think it'll help.
Because I think one thing you have to think too is like, do you think behaviors are going to be better or worse towards break?
Probably worse, but it's hard to say because before fall break, our attendance went way down, so behaviors weren't as bad because there weren't many of the kids here.
Yeah, it's hard because like you will see like, yeah, towards like fall break, yeah, that's fair. So I mean, that's something to consider though, I guess, like if that's something that you noticed happening, like maybe that's something that you take into consideration about whether you start before or after, you know, because you don't want to start something and then have only like 5 kids there for it and then have to implement it. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you're on the same page with your teammate, I think you could totally successfully start it before break, you know, if you think it's going to be successful for everybody. So
I'll have to plan out like what it's going to be because Amy has so much stuff and I just like don't have that much money.
Yeah.
Like, she has like all kinds of slimes and like bracelet making and all these stations that I'm like, I do not have this time or money to have all these different stations for them to choose from. And like,
I'm really glad you brought that up because yeah, I just kind of assumed Fun Friday was just like a recess or something. So she's buying like really tactical things.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, yeah, because one thing I'm wondering is if you could ask Teresa to get some of those things for you, because she might be able to buy like some of those things for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. I didn't realize that that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's a lot. And if I'm having some kids who don't earn it, I don't want it to be like wild and crazy in here because they're going to be doing something like iReady, or I probably just that because I don't want to have to add more work to myself to give them worksheets.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think too, yeah, I mean, that's a good point because if they are doing all those things, like kids talk, so I wonder if that's why, like, yeah, they have so much buy-in to it and the idea. And I mean, kids just don't realize that like teachers buy those things. But
I know.
I would definitely reach out to Teresa and see if she can buy you some of those things. I think she'd be more than happy
Okay.
to do that. Yeah.
She buys her kids so much stuff, and my kids are always jealous. And I'm like, I don't have money for that.
Yeah, like Teresa's very generous with like our budget. So like if you send her like a list, yeah, of like these are things I think I want to do for Fun Friday. Can you buy some of these things? Like I'm almost positive she'll buy it for you. But yeah, if she's not, then like next time we meet, let's like brainstorm some fun things. Like maybe we could do that don't cost money.
I know they love coloring sheets, so I have a bunch of like Pokemon, Roblox, all the like the fun coloring sheets that they like to do. So that could easily be a station, and I could. It's hard though.
Yeah, if you can get like
Good morning, teachers. Bus 109, the yellow bus, is running 10 minutes late. So when it comes, I will let you know. You can take attendance. Thank you.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think like in my class, like I have Legos, but I just had those like I just happen to have them in my room. Honestly, like the Playworks games too are super motivating that like Coach D teaches them. Like they love playing those. And like obviously like inside it's gonna be hard, but you could go outside and have them play it because you're so close to being outside. That's the benefit to where you're at.
Yeah, but then I don't know what I would do with my kids who didn't earn it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Watch the other kids play.
Okay. What does Amy do when they don't earn it?
I don't know. I just know because she has a couple that like never earn it. I think they sit at her table.
She probably doesn't do work or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of the kids are doing their own thing.
Do you think Amy would be, and I know like your dynamic has been a little strained between the two of you, but like do you think Amy would be willing to like help you like sit down and like maybe all three of you get on the same page for like Fun Friday? Like do you think that would be a conversation you guys could possibly have?
I've talked to her about it, and she's basically just like, well, you have to use my system if like you have to do star cards and for it to work, and I'm just not gonna.
Yeah. Right. That's frustrating. I mean, I know like I'm trying to think like some other ideas that maybe we could do. I will definitely if it's okay with you if I can is it okay if I brainstorm some ideas?
Yeah.
Or like maybe next week you can think of if you want to do Fun Friday. Because maybe your teammate too, Desiree, has some ideas too.
Yeah, I'll talk to her for sure. I know they love computer games like Slope and Prodigy, the ones that they ask to do when I tell them to do iReady. And I'm like, no, I said iReady, do But that could be too, like you could play games.
And they're super happy. That's the other thing is like they're just super happy playing games. Like I think last year too, like my group, when we didn't have Fun Friday, but we were in free time a lot. And they like played this like Snake IO game that they all loved. They were all into it, which I didn't. I mean, it's just like it's basically like that snake game where you like collect the snakes and it like gets bigger.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, like sometimes I mean I think you'd be surprised. Like I mean, kids are a lot more like easier to please than you would think. Sometimes like give them some markers, give them some computers, you know,
just let them go.
But I'm noticing that you're feeling overwhelmed by the Fun Friday idea. So if it's something that's really overwhelming, then like I don't know if that's, you know, I want you to feel successful.
I just don't trust them because the morning group, like, I tried Fun Friday at the beginning of the year and I had kids on their phones and I like screamed at them because I'm like, why you can't have your phone out? Like, I get that it's Fun Friday, but that is never acceptable at school and whatever. And then I tried it another week and then they had them like hiding them in their desks. Like, I don't want to deal with that. Also, why do you have that? You're literally like 2 years old. Why?
Yeah.
But
Do you have a policy for like when they have their phones out that you use, or?
Well, now it's that I take it, and if I see it, I take it. If it's the first time, then they can get it up after class, and then after that, then I haven't had to do this yet. So I told them that their parent has to come get it, but haven't had to do that yet because I've had 2 kids who I've taken it for the first time, and I just like made note of who it was so that I'll remember if it's the second time. But it was like Landon, and after I told him that, he was like, "Oh no, I never did it again."
Yeah, that's so sweet. Yeah,
because he knows that his mom will not accept that. So.
No, she will not. Yeah, she would not be okay with that. Yeah, for sure.
I think that scared them enough. It doesn't happen during regular class, which is good. It was just when they give an inch, they take a mile kind of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe I just start it with like those expectations. Like if you earn Fun Friday, you can still lose it if you are not acting appropriately during Fun Friday. And just tell them like if I see phones or whatever, then you're gonna go back to the other group and work on math.
Yeah,
I have them doing.
Totally. Yeah, okay. I think that's totally doable. I mean, if that's something that you think is doable for you, then yeah, I think it's worth trying. I mean, I think, like I said, nothing in education is ever like concrete. Sometimes like there are things that are very like predictable, and then there are some things that like one year it works for somebody, the next year it doesn't. Like, and I know like I've implemented systems that like are really successful, and then I think they're going to be. And then other systems, I think they're going to be great. And then they just totally flop. And if it flops, it's okay. You just pick yourself back up and try something new, But I just want you to feel successful. And I think you've had a lot of success in the afternoon. And I think one big holdup I see in here is that morning group. So I think if we can just keep maybe like brainstorming some different ways to motivate them.
And I think I keep thinking that like it's my seating chart. Oh, it's my seating chart. It's because these kids are together. But then I move them, and then that kid's also bad with this kid, and it's just like nothing I do is working. So I have problems in my seating chart right now, but I'm not even changing it right now because I'll just have new problems when I move them.
And have your observations been in the morning, or are they all in the afternoon?
No, I have. The one Amanda just did was for the morning.
Oh, okay.
And she saw, because another thing that I really struggle with is when I always pronounce it wrong, Vinafsha is in here. She has 3 kids with her. And then every time I say like tracking me or do one of the all calls, like her and her group just keep talking the whole time. And so I am like, I don't know if it's even my place to be like, hey, could you guys be quiet when I'm trying to give an instruction to the whole class? Because no one around them can hear me. And I can barely think because they're all talking so loud, and I'm trying to give like a very clear instruction, but I'm just listening to that and I keep like starting over because I'm getting interrupted. And that is a big struggle in the morning too, that I think stops the flow, starts behaviors.
And she has to push in during that. I'm sorry. My voice is going. She has to push in?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Do you know why?
No.
Okay. Because I'm wondering if you could talk to Miriam about it, and maybe you guys could bring, because I know you meet with her. Do you meet with her weekly too?
Today, yeah, on Thursdays.
Maybe you could talk with her about it and be like, hey, I'm really feeling this way. Like, and I'm sure Miriam would be happy to have that conversation. But I would say it's totally within your right to have that conversation with Banashva. But
okay.
But maybe like you can pull out too,
Yeah, because I wouldn't mind just talking to her, because I don't want to like go above her and have it like come back to her, because it's not like she's intentionally doing anything.
No,
but it's really, really hard, especially with that group, to try to give an instruction, or if I walk around. Because it's usually when they're doing like the we do part. So when I walk around and I notice that so many kids are making the same mistake, I want to call them all back together. Like, okay, look at the board. This is what I'm seeing, or, example, not example, whatever strategy I'm going to use. Mm-hmm. And that's always when I can't get them because the group is talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like if you're comfortable having a conversation with her, then you definitely can.
Okay.
That's so sweet. So
she is. And I mean, we talk all the time about the kids and their progress and like what we're working towards and whatever. So I feel like it'd be fine. I just am very non-confrontational. So with stuff like that, like if I have to tell someone that something they're doing is bothering me, it's really hard for me. So I think just approaching it like just letting her know that it's like a behavior thing that I'm concerned about, and I just need her support in getting them to stop talking when I do the all call. I think that would be okay.
Well, and yeah, totally. And I think too, like maybe one thing you could reflect upon is like, how do you like to be approached with like feedback? Like, and maybe you could approach her the same way that maybe you'd want to be approached.
Right.
You know?
Maybe sandwich it and tell her like I really appreciate how much you work with the kids, because I truly do. I mean, when they can hear my instructions in their own language, it just obviously is going to click way more than trying to interpret what I'm saying, connect it to the math in front of them. And I know she's not giving them the answer because they'll still get wrong answers, but they're getting a lot more correct when she works with them. So I think I'll just leave it like that. Like, I've really been appreciating this. I'm concerned, and not make it so she knows it's not like I'm concerned with you, but I'm concerned with the whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's perfect. I mean, and there's so many things you can pull from her. She's so sweet that
she's
like so easy to sandwich. Yeah. And that's a great like situation to practice like that confrontation too. Like, it's a great time. It's not even really confrontation. It's just feedback, right? Like,
it's just feedback. It's just like it's collaborating because we're both the adults in the room at that time. Like, let's get on the same page.
Yeah.
And like, nothing against her. I love having her in here, but
no, I think that's a great way to like frame it in your mind too. It's feedback. It's not confrontation. It's just feedback for everyone to be successful. Yeah. So I really like that framing in your mind for that.
I can do it.
No,
we usually chat for a couple minutes after the kids go to specials anyway, because she's here for like that last 20 minutes before they go. So it's not, I mean, it'll be easy. She's awesome. So.
She is so sweet. Yeah, she's so sweet. All right. Well, I mean, we're getting closer when the kids come in, so I want to give you time to get ready for the day. But I think I think you have some good next steps. Like, I think you are really going to think about that Fun Friday component if you want to implement that. And definitely give Banashwa that feedback. And if you need to talk to Teresa about like the stuff for Fun Friday, I think those are all great next steps for you. And next week we can, come back together and talk about what's being successful, what's not, and
Oh yeah, and if I start it next week, then we'll talk the day before, and I can say like, this is what we're gonna do, and this is my idea. So I'll try to. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Desiree now and just tell her. I'm sure she can probably hear us, but tell her what I'm doing.
Awesome. And if there's anything too that you need, like obviously come back and feel free to brainstorm. Just not too far away. So
okay,
all right. Is there anything else that you need before we go, or?
No, I think I'm okay. I'm like looking around my desk, like, what do I got going on? I don't know. I think I need to organize my stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. Like towards the end of the semester, it's just like you don't want to put everything back where it belongs. You just want to get out of here.
Like, I don't care. I just want to go home. At the end of the day,
yeah, you'll get there. Just focus on one thing at a time. Like, don't be you're doing really great things, so don't let a messy desk get in your way because you're yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Elise.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you sometime today. Sure.
All right. Have a good day.